All right, let's jump right in. There's a lot of noise out there about recent cyber incidents in Japan, right? So in the next few minutes, we're going to cut through all of that. We're going to translate these complex events into a clear, strategic action plan that you, as a leader, can actually use.
I mean, that's what this all boils down to, isn't it? This isn't just about reading headlines. It's about figuring out what these incidents really signal for your business, for your risk, your strategy, and heck, even for your ability to get a leg up on the competition. So let's dive into that analysis.
Okay, so first up, the current threat landscape. Before we can talk strategy, we need to get a handle on what's actually happening on the ground right now.
And when you look closely at what's been happening, a really interesting picture emerges. It's kind of like you're fighting a two-front war. On one side, you've got these really sophisticated attacks coming from the outside. But at the same time, on the other side, there are these critical and often super simple gaps right inside your own organization. Let's tackle that first front.
All right, supply chain under attack. This is a big one because so much of today's risk lives right here. We're not talking about attackers knocking on your front door. We're talking about them finding a way in through the side doors, the ones opened by your partners, your vendors, and all those cloud services you rely on.
And we're seeing this play out in the real world. Just look at these examples. You've got Mizuho Leasing, where a critical partner system got hit. And then there's Tokyo FM, with a potential data leak from an external cloud service. See the pattern? Two totally different incidents, but they both point to the same weak link, the supply chain. Your dependency on others is the vulnerability.
And that brings us to this point, which just nails it. Your security is only as strong as your partner's security. It's so true. In today's world, your security perimeter isn't just your own network anymore. It literally extends to every single vendor and SaaS platform you use. The big takeaway? You have to be just as tough on your partner's security as you are on your own.
Okay, so the supply chain is one huge front in this war. But let's not forget about what's happening inside our own walls. Because, as we're about to see, the basics, the fundamentals, they still matter. A lot.
This slide really lays it out perfectly. It shows two completely different ways that data can get exposed. On the left, you have a super technical failure, right? The Mongo bleed vulnerability, a complex bug in the technology itself. But then look at the right, a human and process failure. Something as straightforward as someone accidentally sharing sensitive student data that causes our worlds apart. But the result? It's exactly the same. Data is out in the wild.
So what's the lesson here? It's crystal clear. All that money you spend on fancy firewalls and advanced threat detection, that's only half the story. If your people aren't trained and your processes aren't solid, you're basically leaving the back door wide open. Security education isn't some nice-to-have checkbox item. It's an absolutely critical part of your defense.
All right, so we've talked about the problems, right? The dangers from your external supply chain and the gaps in your internal fundamentals. But here's where the story takes a turn. We're starting to see a really interesting shift in the market towards a real solution. It feels like we're entering a new era, one that's all about verifiable trust.
And a huge part of this new era is something called ISMA. So what is it? Put simply, it's a security stamp of approval for cloud services. If a company wants to sell their cloud product to the Japanese government, they have to prove they meet these really tough security standards. It's a way of turning "we're secure" from a promise into a fact.
And this is where you can see the bigger trend taking shape. I mean, when we see a product like iFilter at Cloud going through the trouble of getting ISMAP registered, it's a huge signal. It's not just about one product. It shows the whole market is moving in this direction. Trust is no longer just a handshake or a line in a sales pitch. It's becoming something you have to prove, with a certificate to back it up.
This timeline really shows the whole evolution. Think about it. In the past, checking a vendor's security was pretty random, right? Ad hoc, at best. Now, today, we have ISMAP really driving up the standards, at least in the public sector. But look at what's coming in 2026, a whole new assessment scheme aimed specifically at small and medium-sized businesses, the very heart of the supply chain. What we're seeing now is just the warm-up act.
And this is where it gets really tangible. The plan for this new scheme for smaller businesses includes a 3-star baseline for security. So this isn't some vague, far-off idea anymore. It's a concrete requirement that companies are going to have to meet just to be seen as a trustworthy partner.
Okay, so we've looked at the threats from the outside and the inside. We've seen this big shift towards provable trust. So the billion-dollar question is, what do you, as a leader, do about it? That brings us to the most important part, your strategic response.
So here it is, a simple 3-step action plan. Number 1, fortify your supply chain. That means stronger audits, better access controls, and really keeping an eye on all your third-party and SaaS platforms. Number 2, reinforce the fundamentals. Double down on security education to get your people and processes up to speed. This prevents both the techie screw-ups and the simple human errors. And number 3, start leveraging these certifications. Use ISMOP as your yardstick today and get ready for the new schemes that are coming. This is how you build real trust.
And please don't miss this part. This is the real strategic kicker. Getting ahead of these standards isn't just about ticking a compliance box or avoiding a fine. It's an offensive move. When you can prove you're a secure partner before everyone else, you build trust. And in this market, trust is a massive competitive advantage. It wins you deals. It makes you the partner of choice.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. By 2026, when these standards are the new normal, what will trust be for your business? Will it be your biggest vulnerability because you weren't prepared, or will it be your single greatest asset because you saw this coming? The choice is yours, but the clock is definitely ticking.